Well, friends, we are gathering at a unique moment in the history of humanity. Uh,
Mm,
Nicholas and I have the privilege of being in dialogue today with the Rabbah and talking about the challenges that the senior leaders we coach and work with are facing. I think both of us are persuaded that this is a not only a challenge in the world of commerce and business, but a challenge in the world of morality and ethics, a
mm,
challenge in the world of interdependence and generosity of spirit, a challenge in meaning making, and most fundamentally, a soul challenge or a spiritual, mystical challenge.
mm.
So we're very, very privileged this evening to be speaking with the Rabban, asking her to help us think from a mystical perspective about the topics that people are facing. And I think maybe I would just start us off by saying we're seeing very increased levels of stress, disorientation, overwhelm in information, and a paucity of meaning making, people feeling very hollow about their lives of striving and achievement and contribution in the face of increasing polarization and violence and information overwhelm. And there's a heightened level of fear, I think, because people don't have spiritual orientation.
Mm.
Um, and I wonder, Nicholas, you want to add anything else by way of context?
Mm. Yes, thank you. And I say again, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you, Robert, and of course with you, Amy. Um, yes, I would actually say I see this as a critical moment for humanity, truly. And I think just to amplify in a way what Amy has been saying, the way I see it is that, 4 or 5 years ago, business was kind of working, but people like Amy and I and others were saying, yes, it's working, but at huge cost to the soul, the heart of people. And it's being conducted within a very limited paradigm, even though it is kind of working. So I wrote about that in when I wrote Leader as Healer, that it's a paradigm that is hugely dominated by thinking and hugely disconnected from physical knowing, wisdom, from the heart, from the intuition, and most deeply of all, from any kind of transcendent experience. And yet it was kind of working. However, what's happening now is that because of what's being called radical uncertainty and the whole landscape shifting so fast and so unpredictably, that limited paradigm has become more obvious, much more stressful for people. So, in a way, a core message I would summarize that I hear is things are just not really working the way they used to, and we don't know what to do. We're lost. I would say there's a huge lostness. And what was, from my end, I believe, our perspective, already a state of exile, I find that a very appropriate word, is suddenly staring people in the face because things aren't working. So they were in exile, but it was kind of working. Now it's not working. So the loneliness, the isolation, the separateness, is becoming very, very painful for people. And so I think I was just working 2 days with quite a remarkable CEO, and the word that kept coming up as a depth part of his purpose in life was correction. I know that's a Kabbalistic term, but it had a very deep meaning in the work we were doing. Yeah. So I see our work as also being in that stream of connection. Well, connection, but also correction, really deep correction of the whole cultural landscape we've normalized. And I think it's a big problem that we've normalized it. So we don't see it until we see it. So there's a waking up process as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just going to add one thing
Yeah.
that Nicholas's comments prompted. There's a lack of alignment. What are we being aligned to?
Mm,
There's a short-term thinking with no connection to eternity. And
Mm.
there's this deep separation with no sense of communion or guidance or being part of some restorative movement. And I hope that you could speak to some of those themes because I think it would be tremendously meaningful for people to hear you.
Mm. I want to say something radical. Mhm.
Please.
please,
Okay.
we like
Well,
practicality.
well, first, chaos is intentional and
Mm,
shattering is intentional. And what I hear is that you're trying to, or people trying to repair and to sort of reset it into something that they will have control over. But
exactly, which
what
doesn't work.
happens? It doesn't work because
Yes.
it is planned not to work.
Mm,
It is planned to shatter.
mm,
And what we're trying to is to hold it. It's as though mm, let's find a way of what we understand as healing or reformation or repairing or sort of mediating uh, some sort of anchor into the world that is not working now will somehow start to work again. It will not work again.
no, absolutely, it's clear.
Yeah, so it needs a different language.
Mm,
And maybe the intuition of spiritual language is is true. But what I see is that they're trying to recruit spiritual language into their agenda or their language, which will
very
not
true.
work.
It's
Mhm.
very true. It's very
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So, for example, getting it, trying to sort of set it into the way, the agenda, the interest of what the Kabbalah of the last generation called the will to receive to oneself.
Mm,
Whether it's a business body, whether it's a country, everyone who thinks in terms of I'm separated from the bigger picture, from the great body of spirits,
mm,
will not be able actually to hold anything,
mm,
not to hold and not to be connected. So something will sort of reformed it by huge suffering.
mm,
And this is where we go, unless sort of something within the world will, which is called in Kabbalistic terms, last generation. We are called last generation. We are last and first. Because we are last, we are as well first.
mm,
So we're witnessing actually a well, you can say dissolve, shattering of holding patterns of the way we used to, definitely the West, but as well the East. The way we used to perceive the world and how we perceive ourselves in it.
mm,
So it's a different definition.
mm.
The definition is not only of um, what will I get from it,
Yeah.
okay, or okay, I understand that business will say, well, if we speak frankly, we speak about the bottom line of profit. Maybe if we'll treat people as humans, we'll get a better line of profit. But it's the same language. It's how
Mm,
to use someone else. But
exactly.
let's use them in a leadership, in a more, on one hand, um, wise leadership that actually will put us in a position that we'll be able to extort more from them.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we'll give them good conditions and we'll treat their soul and their heart. So it will be more, so it will be more enslaved to our interest. So I know the intention could be good, but the language is misleading.
Mm,
Okay. So if we're sort of talking in a way that we open it, you are there and you felt the end of something.
mm,
Yes.
But yeah, the end of the holding patterns. And the more you get into positions of power, the more you feel it. Okay? So polarization is as well maybe the thought of even, how I'd say, the idea of leadership should be different because it should be that it's like a leadership of a cell in the body
Mm.
in terms of being part of something, serving something because not because this is the way I can gain not my profit, my identity, my belonging,
Mm.
my sense of meaning.
Mm.
And there is a huge difference between soul and spirit. Because what we're talking now is a soul of soul in terms of what is being shattered is what we call in Kabbalah still life. What is still life? That which holds the form of itself and resists any change.
Mm.
So this is the soul you're meeting now. The soul that actually feels a huge pressure of dissolvement, and it tries to actually find and recruit sources to hold on into something that still they'll have control over the form of it. So what will happen is that it will increase the external pressure on it, and the shattering and the feeling of being lost um, will be greater and cause more suffering. A very good example is the leadership of the reality of Israel today.
Mm.
Okay, so it goes on that something is trying to hold into something that is not. It's not only not working, it's as though it's speaking a foreign language in a country. It means in a time and environment that it doesn't hold. You cannot use this currency there. So it's a question of what is the new currency?
Mm.
So is it possible to actually use, let's say, what we know as our feeling, our emotion, our need to belong, our sense of purpose? Is there anything from what we know from psychology or philosophy, East and West, that can actually answer it today?
Mm.
My answer is no, there isn't. And when I speak about Kabbalistic terms, I'm speaking about search.
Mm.
So actually, um, maybe getting people into a search mode of 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 that new language, what we call spirit, um, is reforming,
Mm.
not an answer to, okay, you'll do that, you'll connect to that, you'll meditate, you'll you do some sort of form of Tai Chi. You reconnect to your body, you reconnect to your family, you reconnect to values that actually does not hold water anymore. So it
Mm.
is subversive.
Totally. Yeah.
Mm. Uh, how you want to go
Yes.
from
Well,
from here?
I have a couple of things. First of all, I'm in entire agreement with what you're saying. And in
Mm,
fact, there's one chapter in our new book which says, where I'm anyway absolutely not talking about upgrading the current operating system with a bit
mm,
more meditation, a bit more this or that. We need a completely new operating system.
mm,
And I'm fascinated by the last thing you said about there is nothing now that points towards that. One thing I have a sense that does point to it is what we can take from the artistic world in the sense that, I was 20 years in the theatre, that
Mm,
everyone who works with deep creativity understands that you become a vessel and that
mm,
you receive. You don't do, you
mm,
don't make, you don't
mhm,
be proactive. You learn what it means to be deeply empty and deeply receptive.
mm.
And for me, that's one of the new paradigms that I think leaders are needing to step into,
Yeah,
in,
but
which is a totally different way of being.
true. Listen to what? Being open to what? How do
To,
you create an ecology in which you know what actually can attend? Because if we're saying being open to, being able to listen, it's true. But do we have a spiritual apparatus that is enable us to actually listen? Because if we take Kabbalistic terms, you need to make actually the apparatus that will enable
mm,
us to listen. We are
yes,
not able to. So
yes, I absolutely, yes, of course.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think. Yeah, I totally with you on that. And I think that's where we might say that some of the healing work we do helps create that apparatus because it
Mm,
removes some of the kind of, well, whatever we call it, the sand in the engine, the frozen parts of us, and
mm,
makes us more available and less self-oriented,
mm,
naturally less self-oriented. And if the heart then opens more, there is also less self-orientation. So I'm just talking about the last thing you said. How does the
mm.
vessel become more ready? But I think you have something much more to say about that, which,
Because I think when we open the heart to the same thing. So how do we teach the heart, actually,
mm,
which is a will, to actually be able not to listen to its wishes, its emotion, how we teach it to actually
mm,
be able to will something else and to feel something else. So it needs a different wiring.
mm,
What
mm,
actually will make this wiring? Can it be
mm,
that, let's say, human intelligence, which is facing its limitation, human feeling, which this is the chaos or the shattering. We're
mm.
facing our limitation, the
Yes.
limitation of our thinking, of our even searching, of our the way we question,
Mm,
the way we pose questions. We pose questions within the heart that wish to get something,
mm,
that wish to know how the world works in order to exploit it. How we change that? This is the point of how we are able to change that. And what I'm trying to say that we are not able to change it unless something higher will intervene.
mm, mm.
So dance, what I'm saying
Yes.
is that humanity dances around its possibilities, its limitation. How do we break it? This is
Mm.
a true question of the Kabbalistic questioning or
Right.
research
Right.
or the spiritual. For example, I must say, Amy, it's not mystical because mystical part of its definition is ineffable. You know how many words I speak a day about explaining, or how many the text. It's a texture. It's a different texture in terms of, and it has a very high um, logic,
Mm,
emotional logic,
mm,
feeling logic in it. But if there's no, and this is where maybe it connects to the sense of inspiration, of artistic inspiration, how you invite it.
mm,
Mm.
An artist is terrified from the moment that it will not come to him, that inspiration will not attend him. So all his life is actually summoning that.
Mhm.
So how we, as leadership, society, uh, any human conscious structure, summon it,
Mhm.
summon the new to actually lead us.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think this is, I feel uh, deeply that this is how we need, this is the field we need to search
Yeah,
into.
that's
It's beautiful what you're saying,
beautiful.
and
Yes.
I love the distinction that you made that which was we need to will something else and we need to see something else.
Mm,
And this
mm,
quality of beseeching or invoking through practice, I imagine that
mm,
the new is in a way revealed to us or
mm,
granted to us. I
Mm,
find very, very touching. And at least in my perception, I know very few businesses that have made that pivot. But I
mm,
do think Nicholas and I have seen business leaders or government leaders or activist leaders that are beginning the journey of that turning. And
mm,
I would find it fascinating to hear you talk about what you think anything we might offer would help them support that
mm,
practice.
well, in my vision,
Yeah,
which is not mine, probably because I don't want to be part of this, but I am part of this. Is it needs a true think tank um, that has the term of engagement of a Kabbalistic group.
mm,
It means a leadership of listening beyond the limitation of humanity, and it has in it belief, and it's something that in a group commitment to a group of search, to a group of summoning something different, and it's a study group,
mm,
mm,
and it has a spiritual leader.
mm,
mm,
So someone that you are able to see that he or she does not veer from the intention of actually being able to translate and that people will be able to trust the translation of what is coming.
mm,
So if you, I know that there are some attempts in the world, but I never saw a serious one, which is not turning into a cult,
mm, mm,
but turning into a true committed search and working in order to summon different language.
mm,
Business in that meaning is usually it's based on transaction of some sort.
mm.
yeah.
Uh, what I'm saying is that humanity cannot continue to have this transaction between themselves. They need to actually think that they are here in order to express something which is beyond them, which will
Mhm,
define them.
mm,
And the transaction is with that.
mm,
That's the true business of creation.
yeah.
Okay? It is a business. It's a
Mm,
business of
mm,
light and vessels. Okay?
mm,
So, but it's great to speak to you because in somehow you have some kind of an ear and an ear to sense what I'm speaking about. But I'm thinking of what I'm saying now in front of, let's say, leadership of high businesses. They would think where from she's coming, from which planet she fell.
I don't think so.
well, no, I
No?
don't. No, it's not for some. I think we work
Because
with people who would.
of
Mm,
what you said, the shattering is so palpable and
Mm,
mm,
um,
mm,
the threshold about through which we can no longer stay coherent is so
mm,
evident now
mm,
that
mm,
I think people are receptive in a way that I've never seen
yes.
before to
Yeah.
some of what you're
mm.
calling for.
Well, I can see it in new people who are coming that
Of
the
course,
need is different. Yeah.
exactly.
It's
And
a different urge and a different need. That's true. So, in terms of, I would like to say that chaos is intentional, it's
mm,
planned.
mhm,
Uh, it's um, it's almost part, shattering is one of the biggest event within creation that cause a world, or what we call Atzilut, or a world of reformation, a complete sort of structures and forms, beings,
mm,
in terms that they have um, intention. When I'm speaking about entities that has intention of actually working and helping humanity and the world to become what they should. So it's the only hope.
mm,
It's truly the only hope. It's
mm.
not a band-aid or a plaster
Sure,
that we fix something,
of course.
which is the what was the
Mm.
duty of religion.
Yeah.
It's not a religion. It's it it got to the point of a true need of living.
Mm,
I would not say even of surviving or existing, but of living. It's not
mm,
enough to survive.
mm.
Okay. Uh, or yeah.
I would, first of all, it makes very, very deep sense to me, everything you're saying.
Mm,
And I would love you to even extend more in what you're saying. And before that, I just want to ask you about one word you used, which I
mm,
find sometimes a troubling word
mm,
because it actually can create huge problems. And the
mm,
word is belief.
mm.
You mentioned the word belief, so I would love
Yeah.
to, if you could just define what you
Mm.
mean by the word belief, because people kill for beliefs.
Yeah, they kill for their beliefs, or
Yes. So,
they kill because they think they hear.
mm. So would you say what you mean by
Well,
belief?
it's not content. Belief, people think that belief is a content. I believe in
Right.
something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Belief in terms of the spiritual or the Kabbalistic term, it's means of how to rise above reason,
Mm,
how to rise above human limitation.
mm,
This is a belief. The,
mm,
it suggests that I can actually ask for it. First, I need to sort of recognize the limitation, admit to it,
mm, mm.
admit to the limitation of it,
Yes.
admit to the inability, and then to sense that there is something above that I can ask for help. It
Mm,
will actually call, now I reverse it. Belief suggests that I know and I can interpret the limitation or the revelation of limitation as a higher intention. This is why I'm saying that chaos is intentional and
yes.
planned. So belief is actually playing in the border of between the current and the future.
Mm,
It's being on the border of it, on
mm,
what is called on a screen, on the connecting, separating screen. This is belief. So you can feel what is happening beyond, but you cannot define it yet. But you know that whatever you are experiencing now is the limitation of something calling you.
mm,
So the sense of something calling us through showing us our limitation or the consciousness or the evil consciousness, the bad consciousness of the will to receive to oneself is belief. So actually, it's an evolutional tool or
mm,
apparatus. Belief. It's not to do with content of certain set. Everything that is a set of rules and laws is actually a, a definition of definition of limits or definition of judgment.
Mm.
Okay. So when I'm saying belief, I'm using is as something that I need to train myself in. It's very in Hebrew, it has the sense of art.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Emunah and omanut.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's the same. So it's the summoning. It's the ability to summon something that is not here yet,
Mm.
but I know that there is a need.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But it need to be with, it cannot, it cannot be or stay or work, definitely not in our generation, on a personal level.
Mm. Mm.
It need to be a group, and then the personal need to define itself within the group,
Mm.
which is the most hated state of individualism of the 21st century. Because individualism is defining itself as separated and different from.
Mm.
And in spirituality, is that which is same as the higher.
Mm. Mm.
Okay? So that's why I'm saying um, I'm glad to hear that there, it's funny. I'm glad to hear that there is a crisis, you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
Not to equate myself with Rabbi Akiva, but you know the legend that he danced on the ruin of the second temple.
Mm.
Why he danced on the ruins of the second temple? Because he knew something new is coming.
Yeah.
So I'm dancing on the ruins of of that.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
because it's something that it suggests that
Yeah.
something is going to change, and we are living in a fascinating time in
Yeah.
that respect.
Absolutely.
So,
That's
mm,
why I said for me, I see it as a really critical time in the whole
mm,
evolution of humanity,
mm,
like
mm,
a possibility of a jump to a totally different something.
mm,
There are just the two words I'd love to have your view on,
mm,
because I just came from a very intensive work with a really remarkable chief executive who booked a 2-day retreat.
mm,
And part of the work we did, which had many levels, we explored two words as living practice. One was the word reverence, and the other
mm,
was the action of bowing.
mm,
And they feel to me as though they're in the territory you're talking about, maybe not as fully as what you're talking about, but definitely gateways,
mm,
really, really embodied, because
mm,
they are both taking an individual into contact with something far beyond themselves.
mm. Well, reverence definitely has to do with being able to see, being
Mm,
able to see the importance of something,
mm, mm.
the presence of something.
Something beyond.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Feeling presence of something is can go two ways. Many people can be in a crowd and they say it was very moving because truly, because what they
Yeah,
felt was the presence of emotion.
right, right.
It happens many times in holy places. It's not that the holy we feel the emotion, the presence of the emotion of people emoting at that place.
Mm,
So reverence can occur because you see something or you feel something that is presence, but it's far away. It's a far cry from a true attendance. It is an attendance.
mm,
Evil has an attendance as well.
mm,
Okay. So how do you know to differentiate?
mm.
So reverence in that respect is, I would say it's very close to awe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
It's
exactly.
yeah, it's but as well it has in it fear. Mhm. But
Mm,
it's a good fear. It's a fear that keeps me on my toes and not getting too familiar with something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And it's very difficult to hold this reverence and awe to something that um, everything in us, definitely on a soul level, tries to regulate it,
Mm.
to make it regular.
Mhm.
So how you fight those two?
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
so I would say reverence is as well a vessel
Mm.
that need maintenance, a
Mm.
constant maintenance,
Yes.
because you cannot trust that your reverence of today will work for tomorrow, because for tomorrow it can be really rude. What was reverence today can become rudeness of tomorrow
Mm.
because you're too familiar. So it's renewal, and it has to do with belief as well.
Yeah.
So how you work on what is in Kabbalistic terms, it's called renewing the screen or renewing intention.
Mm.
So in English it works good because it's renewing the inner tension in relation to something. I cannot be relaxed and think that I already conquered it.
Of course.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's, for example, in the ecology of let's say of Kabbalistic study is the attitude towards the Rav, towards the teacher.
Mm.
Because you try to regulate it all the time to say, okay, I got him, I got her.
Mm.
And you can't because then you miss everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So this is what I'm saying. It needs a rules of engagement,
Yeah.
uh, which can, in which we can achieve reverence to something that is real, meaning that we know to differentiate real from false, which is part of really the test of our days, to be able to distinguish between false and real or false and true. True is not a value anymore.
Mm.
Truth is something because humanity's decided it's very difficult, it's not possible to actually attain truth. So we're playing with false.
Mm.
So what people call, for example, authentic is being rude
Blunt.
because he's saying what he's really feeling. So it's okay to be rude because it's true. So it suggests something else. It suggests that this is why people like Trump, because he's rude and he's saying what he feels. And they think it's a strength because he's speaking the truth of what they feel. And it's not, he's just an example. It's true from many ways of that tries to actually take advantage of the fact that the only true truth that we are able to achieve is the true about ourselves in relation to the higher.
Mm.
We cannot achieve, and this is why there is a huge disappointment from religions, because religions try to say, we will tell you the truth about God,
Mm.
the truth about the higher. But actually, humanity cannot know the truth about uh, infinity or the Creator. It can know only the truth about itself, its limitation, and its wish to have a true relationship with the higher. So this is why truth became cheap, because we were deceived for so many years by so many criterias that they are able to tell us the truth.
Mm.
So this is another way of why we're going through shattering.
Mm.
I think the most valuable um, issue of studying is actually how it reveals the truth about who we are and what we can become.
Mm.
Mhm. And
Mm.
that's okay.
Mm.
For
Beautiful.
this, for this, you need to build reverence for
Mm.
what you can become, because that is renewing itself all the time. So becoming can gain us reverence.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm very
Mm.
struck by what you said about reverence becoming rude,
Mm,
or because we see this also with the leaders we work with. They have a moment of profound opening, and then
mm,
they, as quickly as possible, return to the known, um,
mm,
and,
mm,
Mm.
and shrink themselves back into uh,
mm,
their previous identity. And I love what you say about the teacher and the community being an anchor to keep you alert to
Yes.
your
mm,
rightful place. And I
mm,
wonder if you could talk a little more about the development of the apparatus of discernment, or the development of the apparatus of uh, wise understanding of your rightful place in relation to the creation and
mm.
and the
Mm.
creator.
Well, from what I know, it's the only form in which it is possible is the study, what we call the study. So
Mm.
what actually we study in Kabbalah? We study actually what was attained by sages, in which we're trying to internalize. It's actually how the will of the higher intelligence or the creation actually extended itself and created um, forms, regulation, processes that will allow us to actually reveal and find out what is our name, meaning what is our purpose. Okay.
Mm,
So I don't know any other study or text that actually not only teach you by reading, but actually forms you,
mm,
that it becomes an entity, something
Mm.
live that is etching you and
Mm.
changing you. And as you think you understand it because you understand the language or the translation, you understand more and more that actually what is speaking to you is very different than what
Mm.
you understood or what you are able to understand. And it's actually forming you in a deeper sense.
mm,
So, from my journey through the 20th century, 21st centuries, sort of wisdoms, and I found it to be the most um, profound and effective way of service.
Mm.
Right? Um, I see the way it works with people, and still, I think we need to maintain. What I mean
Mm.
to maintain, so we need the. It's not that I'm saying we don't need the body or we don't need the existence or corporality. We do need it, and more than that, we need to revere it only from the standpoint that it serves to be a vehicle, a carrier for the spiritual journey. We cannot do without it. But what happened is that humanity sort of harnessed spirituality into the corporeal interest
Mm.
instead of harnessing corporality into the spirit
Mm.
interest.
Right.
Yeah. And that's very, very difficult to change. Is
Mm.
really turning the head different in a different way and saying, well, we exist for that, and not there is spiritual powers and beauties and presence, so we will enjoy ourselves more, or we will have more a fuller, meaningful life. It's
Mm.
not that.
Mm.
And as the more we will the more we will misuse it, the more suffering there will be in the world. That's a
Mm,
promise. Because when the core of ourself is actually exploiting spirituality, we bring on ourselves um, really harsh judgment because we're
mm,
working against our core.
mm,
We're working against the purpose of our existence. Okay. Though we might feel that we're serving well-being, but we're not.
mm.
I think I've been harsh enough, no?
No, I find it very, very, very powerful
Mm,
the way you speak about the need for real sustained study and
mm,
and I think that is missing in for
yeah,
instance, corporate
yeah.
world. As Amy said, we have the privilege of seeing people often going through quite profound opening.
Mm,
I think in the direction you're speaking of, at least in the direction you're speaking of, and then what?
mm.
And I
And
hear
then there
I
is the
hear
barrier.
I'm very touched by the power of the way you speak about community and study and teacher and rigor.
Mm,
The word
mm.
rigor comes to mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And I see and believe in what you're saying that without that
Mm.
can real transformation occur? I think that's a big question.
Yeah, it brings cleanliness as well,
Mm,
in terms of knowing the difference, the differences, knowing how to make the differentiation, knowing what need to be recruited to what, and
mm,
reminding ourselves all the time, then even if we get to, let's say, to the stage or to the state of well-being, that is only a better platform to recruit it to spirituality.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
clear.
not the other way around.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. I mean, there are hundreds of well-being centers,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and there's
And
something very
methods.
critical missing in the middle of most of them because it's
Yeah.
still about self.
Mm,
I want to feel better,
mm.
which is radically different from what you're proposing.
Yeah, it's it's two contradictions sitting together. It's highly non-personal and highly
Mm,
personal because
mm,
the personal becomes when there is life and actually presence to your spirit. Then this is very personal.
mm,
This is actually the definition of self. What we have now is a substitute of self. Ego is a substitute of self. It's not a real self.
mm,
Okay? It's a useful tool.
mm,
You cannot survive without ego. More than that, even Kabbalistic understanding suggests that unless we have a very developed ego, full-fledged in its recognition of itself, you cannot start studying
mm,
because you don't have enough matter to recruit.
mm.
So this is why I'm saying when there is, I see the question sits on your mouth, Amy. So ask it.
Yeah, I'm very sobered by what you're saying because I think one could reasonably critique a lot of what we're doing as spirituality that helps people feel more wholesome inside
Mm.
the poison or inside the old way, let's say it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I appreciate the bluntness because I'm finding it provocative in a good way.
Yes.
Mm,
And what you just said is I find a little bit reassuring because I think in a lot of cases, what we're doing is taking very hurt people and preparing them with enough maturity and self-forgiveness and readiness that they could potentially be fertile soil
mm,
for the real and the new.
Mm,
Because when people come into our programs, they really haven't enough ego solidity or actual self blessing
mm, mm.
um, to begin to bestow anything.
mm,
I agree. So it needs this work, but I think part of maybe your mission is to make the difference, that what you
Yes.
prepare is a soul level in order for them to be ready to something else.
Yes.
Yeah. So that now they're preparing themselves into being able to actually need something different because they are so hurt, as you say, or so traumatized that they are not able actually to even think about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good that they hear that there is a difference and there is a future. So yeah. And I think the differentiation of the two areas is very important. This is what I call cleanliness.
Mm.
Okay. That when it's like what I'm saying, dust, when it's on the earth, it's not dirty. But when it's on the cupboard, it's dirty. So it's not in its place. When spirituality is not in its place, it's not clean.
Mhm.
That's very powerful.
Okay. So it needs to, I think, definitely in the work that you're doing, making people feel the difference, help them to create a, a wholesome, healthy, healed platform is very important.
Mm.
But I love what you said, that they come to understand that they need something further.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
That,
That you
that's
put them on the edge to be able to feel the edge.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think if we serve the same aim, but from different meeting points.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, I think we lit third candle in Hanukkah today. No?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very rich. I think people
Yeah.
will be very moved by the conversation.
Yeah. It's
I hope
beautiful.
so.
And
I
it's
hope so. Thank you
I
for
feel
allowing it
I'm very moved anyway.
and for provoking it and sort of
Mm.
initiating the
Yeah.
possibility. Yeah.
I mean, this core theme that spirituality can be so misused
Mm,
and
mm.
become so
Yeah.
much in the end part of the ego, just getting more spiritual.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Yes, and you're proposing something so cleanly, clearly beyond that, and it's really,
Mm,
really very powerful and sobering. I agree, as Amy
mm.
said. It
Great.
gives me even a whole new impetus in a way.
Mm. Yeah. So I'm glad it happened. I'm
thank
glad you
you.
and thank you for allowing it to
Thank
happen.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Okay.
such our joy. Yeah. Happy holidays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hanukkah Sameach.
Bye.
Bye.